And here we go with a preview of the Auburn versus Texas A&M game. It's going to be played on the Plains in Auburn this weekend. It will be probably one of the easier tests, in my opinion, that Auburn will face so far in the year. And let's talk a little bit about Auburn with a quick recap. One of the things that really stands out is Auburn's offense. You know, they're first in the SEC in third down conversions, over 50%. I believe it's 58% of the time they convert on third down. They're doing very, very well in that category as well. And their red zone scoring percentage continues to be huge, with the majority of those being touchdowns. Not only do they rank high in the league, they rank high in the nation. So the Auburn offense, which I think really started gelling in the last 2 weeks and really firing on all 8 cylinders, in part, I think, because of just the way the process of the season works, but in part, I think, because of some wrinkles that Gus Malzahn and Rhett Lashley have put into that offense. You're seeing a lot more activity, different looks and mix-ups and changes in the backfield. We've seen Ricardo Lewis come across on jet sweeps a lot. That's one of the new wrinkles that we've seen. Some bubble screens, fakes, and things like that. And you combine all that together. And then I think the other thing probably is the offensive line, who we knew would have issues from the beginning of the year, is really starting to gel and come forward, I think. With the substitutions that we had to make at the beginning of the year, with the injuries, you knew it was going to take a little while. I think it probably took longer than we expected. But if you watched that Ole Miss game, you saw, I wouldn't say that Auburn forced its will upon the defensive front the entire game, but there was certainly a good portion of the game where they just really moved the line. They just powered through and moved the line, which is something that we had really been waiting to see. And we'll talk quickly about this much maligned Auburn defense. And look, I'm the first to jump on board and malign the Auburn defense, don't get me wrong. But let's think about things that they do well, which people don't talk about. And in my opinion, this is why Auburn has continued to win games. The first of those would be a third down defense. They rank number 1 in the league in third down defense. They're getting you off the field on third down better than anybody else in the SEC. This is the SEC, by the way. So you don't talk about Auburn's defense in terms of being really vaunted in the SEC, but when you look at things that matter, they rank very well. They also rank number 2 in red zone defense. So sure. Auburn has given up a lot of yards, some games more than others, but pretty much against any reasonable offense, they've given up a lot of yards. But what they haven't done is allowed huge scoring opportunities in the red zone. They're very good on that. Again, number 2 in the SEC. And then on third down, they're ranked number 1 in the SEC on third down. So on third down, more than likely or not, you're going off the field. You're not going to continue going. And that statistic actually shocked me a little bit, because I didn't think Auburn was doing that well on third down, so kind of changed my opinion on that. But let's think about it. You can give up a lot of yards, you can let people march down the field, but ultimately when they get into the red zone, if they don't convert that to touchdowns or they don't convert at all those yards are meaningless. It's meaningless yards. What it does, though, is, of course, it tires out your defense. But this defense has come up big in the fourth quarter, especially if you look at the opposing team's scoring offense in the fourth quarter compared to the first, second, and third quarter. Pretty much like the Auburn team that we saw in the championship year and the Auburn team that we saw last year. It just seems to be a knack that they've had. I'm starting to hear whispers about Ellis Johnson's got to go. I'm not really sure that's the case. It has been frustrating at times because it's simple things. It's the inability to tackle. Some of that's been bad angles. A couple of those in the Ole Miss game were just really bad angles. And a couple of times they were in position and then just got blown off the tackle by some really great blocks or a better move by defenders. So, or rather the offense. So, I think it's things that are fixable. It's something you'd like to see improved, though. So down to the stats we go. We've rambled on enough. So we've put these stats up every week. We compare home game stats for the home game team versus road stats for the road team to come up with these. We've been very, very accurate. I'll say this. Nobody was happier than me than us being wrong about the Ole Miss game, because it showed Auburn losing in a very close game. But most of the other times, the rest of the year, this has come up pretty well. So let's check it out. Just running total statistics of what we would expect the score to be. We're showing Auburn putting up 44 points, which is pretty huge. 44 points on at home. I think that's very doable. Auburn is a 40-point offense, especially at home, and especially when you have a mediocre or a poor defense. So you can expect a score in the 40s. And then on the other hand, this A&M offense, which is sputtered at times, and they're still trying to figure out their offense and their identity, and they got the quarterback issues as well. Still, the statistics show them putting up 30 points, so they should be able to score. Why? A lot of that is because things that we've talked about with the Auburn defense. Even though they're good in some areas, they're still giving up points. They're giving up yards. We should expect Auburn to be able to do what they do, putting up over 250 in rushing. I think that would be good. If they could put up 250 in rushing, I think you would see. I think you would see probably a winning game. Anything over 250. I think you get in the 200 category, it starts to be nifty, but 250, I think they do very well, and I think that's the key to the game. So that's the score prediction from the stats. We got Auburn at home scoring 44 over Texas A&M 30. We'll see how our stats fare this week. Since we have Auburn on top, unlike last week where we had Auburn losing, I'm really pulling for the statistics to be correct.